us as a guest. This is the Environment and Sustainability Commission for the City of Athens, and I'm going to call the meeting to order and begin with an acknowledgement that myself and I think many of the others on this meeting are dialing in from lands formerly occupied by the Adena, Fort Ancient, and Shawnee cultures. So I think present we have myself, Amy Delac, Paul Logue, Stefan Gleisberg, Jasmine Fakoun, Elaine Getz, Sam Crowell, and Lauren Connor. Lauren, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lauren Connor, and I am Paul Logue's intern, so I'm a city planning intern for the year.
All right, great. And we can begin with the disposition of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at the minutes that Paul sent around? All right, seeing nodding. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes from the December meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thanks, Jasmine. Any objections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then the next meeting date, the first Wednesday of the month is February 3rd of 2021. Anyone have issues with that meeting date? I know I'm not traveling. Okay, we'll tentatively call that meeting as February 3rd, 2021. And that will move us into old business, the first of which is backyard chickens. Jasmine, do you have anything new on that?
I don't have any updates. Sarah sort of had taken the reins on that with Megan's help, but I don't think either of them are here, so okay. Nothing new from me.
Okay, thanks. We can maybe pick that back up in February once they're back. Sustainability plan reporting is the next item.
Yeah, I can jump in on that.
Okay.
Lauren and I are, Lauren's still recovering from on break there, and I think she's in Pittsburgh right now.
Yay.
Lauren, Amy, you're from Pittsburgh, aren't you?
I'm from Pittsburgh, yep.
That's right, yeah. Lauren and I are going to work on putting all the updates together. I've given her access to the Dropbox files, the document that was the PowerPoint presentation from the student group. And we're going to start putting that all together here in the next couple weeks. And then, so we're going to hit, I think we need to wrap up. Elaine, you had almost all that put in from 2018 numbers. And then Lauren and I are going to do 2019 and starting collecting 2020 data as well, and just try to get it done. Take it off. I want to take it off the rest of the commission's plate. That to me, you all were putting in a lot of time trying to collect data, and in my opinion, you all have expertise that I think is better served from a volunteer position, trying to move legislation forward and move policies forward. Unless you guys want to do it. But we might still be relying on a few of you for some expertise here and there, and of course double checking. And Elaine, and Sam, of course, both of you with your insight from the sustainability office at the university, and with carbon issues, Elaine is going to be helpful to us.
Yeah, I'm happy to help anytime. Lauren, you can contact me anytime you need. Or Paul, you too, of course.
Me too.
And Lauren didn't mention this when she introduced herself, but she's also she's going to try to take minutes this evening as well. I'm still taking them, but so she can learn a little bit of the administration side of planning and working within a government agency.
Cool. Thanks, Lauren. Okay. Shall we move on to pollinator habitat and planning for the solar array? So this is in respect to the, I guess this is respect to the solar array that is planned for the community center, correct?
I have not attended the last meeting, so can we maybe start with a short review of that issue? What's that about?
Sure. So this is, like I said, there is a large solar array is going to be installed on the campus of the community center, and this would be, of course, in addition to the parking lot solar that's already there. My understanding, I believe, and I wish Sarah was here because she's really our solar connection. So I'll hopefully get it right. I think it is going to include a mix of both rooftop and ground-mounted solar, and there is some question about the possible vegetation management around the ground-mounted portion. Excuse me, and the idea that we might be able to get a vegetation management plan and potentially some pollinator plants planted around that array so that it's not just a gravel or a turf grass that doesn't really provide much in the way of habitat. So the idea being to sort of get an extra biodiversity benefit in addition to the solar benefit. So after the last meeting, I did send around some pollinator pollinator-friendly solar resources that I had. There's been some work done in North Carolina as well as Indiana on species to choose and vegetation management practices and things. And I passed those resources along, but I don't think we had any other discussion about that via email. And I don't know if anybody else had a chance to look at any of those resources and had any comments or recommendations. I also don't know exactly what our next steps are as far as advocating for a pollinator-friendly plantings at that new solar array. And I'm not actually aware exactly of the timing of that going in either.
And is there funding already established for that?
I believe, and Paul can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the city has gotten a very favorable loan term on the basis of the carbon fee. Since there's a revenue source coming in to pay that loan back, we've been able to get a good upfront loan to do that installation.
My understanding was that the plants were going to go under the array. Is that correct? Because I was wondering about light and
Yes. Yeah. So it depends. So sometimes you can plant maybe not directly under in the deepest shade, but you can plant kind of at the margins. Yeah. And, most depending on the size of, the sets of panels and how far apart they are and how high off the ground they are, they'll still get a little bit of sun. And so some of your more shade tolerant plants can go into the shade of the array, but then you can put clovers, milkweeds, things like that, surrounding. But you do have to be careful about, vegetation height. You have to be careful to make sure that you're not creating, a hazard for people working. If there's, like they don't want to step on a snake or something like that, and you want to make sure that you don't create a fire hazard around the panels. So those are the kinds of things there's often it's preferred to do some fairly low to the ground vegetation for those kind of safety and visibility reasons. But there are still clovers and other native species and pollinator nectar producing species that are compatible with that. But you just have to choose carefully, and that's why some of those resources I was sending around.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good clarification. I kind of remember at the last meeting, maybe Ed was talking about ironweed and goldenrod and that sort of thing. And those would be probably way too tall for.
Yeah, those could possibly go around the border. Some of those taller things, and milkweeds too can get fairly tall.
Right. Okay.
Is it any benefit? I have a draft layout. It's very general, and things are going to be changing. So everybody can kind of see the scale of what we're talking about.
That'd be great. Can you share that on your screen?
Yeah, I'm not sure what everybody's seen already. And again, this is draft and very general, but should just give you an indication of what we're looking at as far as the scope. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, wow.
Here. So you've got, I'll try to walk everybody through it in case, let me see if I can make it a little bit larger. Okay. So part of the conversation we've been looking at is adding 2 more panels to the parking lot area.
Okay.
Adding a parking lot panel over at the swimming pool. Note this is an old ortho layer. You can see this is the old swimming pool, does not show the existing facility there. Then also adding a small one to our water lab building, which is directly behind the hotel there. And then several in the dog park area. Still leaving a large piece of real estate for the dog park. Just want to make sure that that is noted. Then 3 expected around the wastewater treatment plant. And then we have this real estate over here behind the library. You've got the bike path right here, and then there's this deer path that people use to footpath.
Desire path, as Rob would call it.
There we go, desire path. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Again, very general. I don't know, how accurate these portions are. Things might be changing, of course. They've been doing land analysis and soil tests and all samples and all that to make sure that we're also being mindful of floodplain issues and all of those things. And so things might be changing here and there, but this is just to give you an indication of the scale. And like Jasmine, I think Amy already noted, but and Sarah mentioned as well, but the conversations have always been about how to incorporate the desire to incorporate pollinators into this project.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
That library spot, I'm not super familiar with the actual, soil, I guess, grass in the other spots, but that spot's pretty wet a lot of times. So I was wondering about that, but I guess your soil analysis people will figure out if that works or not. That's a huge, pretty good spot of land there. So cool.
Yeah, and we're trying to work within land that's that the city already owns, of course, and so we really have to work within city property to make this work. Acquisition of real estate would really set it back or scale it down, and then also being mindful, of course, of existing uses. We're trying to limit the amount of things that have to change.
Yeah.
Can you tell me real quick, the power that's generated from these arrays, where is it going to? Is it going to specific buildings, or is it going to public use, or how does that work?
I'm honestly not 100% sure. It's been about 6 months since I've I think July or August was the last time I've had a meeting about it. Andrew Chickie's been managing that part of it. I'll ask those questions and get back to you on that. I don't want to give out incorrect information.
I was just curious. It's cool to see the map of it, because that really it was hard to sort of envision before where exactly all of this was going. And I know she had mentioned acres at one point. I was like, really, where? And now, it makes sense.
Right. So. Now, I can say, Jasmine, the panels that we have right here at the community center, those were done through a public-private partnership, and there is we actually are buying electricity from a private company that they technically own that canopy. It's a 20-year deal, and I think we're actually on year 11 or 12 in 2021 now. And at the end of those 20 years, then ownership of those panels will be given to the city. We didn't have to invest any money into that deal. That was just we provided the land. Then the private sector side, they were able to tap into funding through the American Recovery Act from 2009. Yeah, so some of that ERA money came into the deal. And then we pay them on a monthly basis for electricity usage through a billing cycle, just typical billing cycle.
Yeah. Just an observation. So the 4 canopy panels that are there now, that's a 224 kilowatt system. You're looking at those additional 2 sets of panels being almost that same size. So that's a testament to how much efficiency has improved since those original panels went in. So I guess it looks like you're looking at about a 2 megawatt system total.
Paul? So that sounds about right. We've got the dog park is 580. Then you've got 200. Yeah, you've got and then the large one.
Almost 13.
Yeah.
Cool. And nothing though on the roof of the community center itself. I thought that was one of the things that they were going to try to do. Did that end up being prohibitive based on the condition of the roof or weight tolerances or something?
I'm not sure. And like I said, some of those things might be changing. That a lot of that roof has weird slopes on it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
My guess it has to do with the design of that roof more than anything, but.
Yeah.
And Paul, what about the dog park array? You said that they'll be leaving space for the dog park. I thought at one point there was consideration of having the farmers market there. Is that no longer on the table, or it still could be, or it?
Yes. Well, the goal is still to have the farmers market at the community center. That conversation is still ongoing. Well, it's been a while. Like everything else, some of those things start due to the pandemic. It's not as urgent of a need, I guess. Maybe that's probably not the right way to summarize it. But Elaine, when we were doing some public, a lot of public feedback on it, one of the things that we did keep hearing, there was concerns about the dog park from a lot of people talking about smells from the wastewater treatment plant. And we did the last open house we had for it pre-pandemic, so it was either early last year or late 2019. We had a open house at the community center to try to get feedback, and we had a lot of community members show up at that meeting, and they were talking about rather than have it in that area, was to actually put it in this solar panel area, including moving the tennis courts and putting in a small pavilion in there, just a large canopy structure without any walls to it, or having movable walls or something. So you could have even a cold weather market there, or having a cold weather market inside the community center using multi-purpose rooms. And that started to make a lot more sense to both the vendors at the market, the advocates, and to the city to better utilize our existing real estate and our existing facilities, rather than building a large project at that dog park site. And we kept hearing over and over again the smells were going to be an issue. But if somebody if somebody says they're not going to shop there because they think it stinks, then that person's probably not going to shop there because they think it stinks and I can tell them it smells like roses and they're not going to believe me, right?
Yeah. So, I have a community garden plot right there and it stinks.
Yeah. You totally, not always pleasant out there.
But I love the idea of doing it under the existing and new parking canopies. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there's even access to power there, right? Through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the water lines are close by, of course. Now there have to be some reconfiguration of the community center campus as a whole. There's still some traffic concerns and things like that. But even members of a lot of the community members who live in that neighborhood who had some concerns about the farmers market locating in that area, a lot of them thought this was a better idea than the dog park area. Yeah. So,
and it's more accessible by bike and foot than the existing lot area, and it's equally accessible by bus.
Right.
Sounds great to me.
And I'll say that the dog park constituents also were pretty vocal about losing their east side dog park.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've never, we've always been trying to accommodate on that dog park issue, and I'm sure there's several dog lovers on this call as well, and people who utilize dog parks, and we're supportive of that. And this real estate over here would still be huge for Fido to run around on, no doubt.
All right, cool. So I don't know if we have, is the city looking for feedback from the commission on vegetation management as part of the plan?
I don't know, Amy, that's a great question. I know Sarah wanted to get this on the agenda, and she had some ideas for some recommendations. I'll check with Andrew to see where they are with that. Like I said, I haven't been tracking it very well at this point. There just hasn't been a lot to track. And then see what we need to do about some conversations. Of course, I think if once we have a little bit more information, by all means, if we can share it with the Sustainability Commission and ask for some feedback from it. I think that would be really helpful.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm by no means an expert on pollinators, and so I hope if the city's asking for feedback from me, I'm going to say let's check with you also.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, I do have a bunch of resources, and if anybody else needs any of those, I'd be happy to pass them along, either on or the commission or anyone else.
Yeah, Amy, I would love to see those.
Okay.
I think you mentioned maybe sending out an email. I looked quickly, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll send it again at the end of this meeting.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
We might also want to think about maybe having a Google Drive folder for the commission or something like that, where we can more easily share documents and don't have to scroll through old emails to find material.
I could add a folder to the Box Drive.
Does everybody use Outlook more or Google, or is there a preference?
I use both equally. Google more for personal, Outlook more for work. So Google might be a little preferable.
I like Google more, but I could use both.
I'm not familiar with Outlook.
Well, The commission already has a Dropbox, though, right?
Oh, Dropbox. Yeah, it's not Box, it's Dropbox.
That's right.
So, I mean, we could start something.
Yeah.
But maybe it makes sense to use
the same. Yeah, I think I can add a file to our Dropbox, right?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll add that. Okay, anything else on that?
Can I add a related issue about pollinator habitat? A while back there was the idea and some communication with the city about prairie-like or pollinator-like areas along the river, and of course Jasmine has done her study there, on the river banks with unmowed areas for several years. I wonder if anything is still being discussed for that area. I know it's not necessarily city land, right? It's administered by
Hawking Conservancy for the Army Corps. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there was some conversation about that a while ago.
Yeah, Lorraine McCosker's class at Voinovich had taken up something, a project with that, and they had hit me up like really early on in the last semester, to ask for information, and then I didn't really hear much from them again. So I'll email her and see what happened with that, and where it was left. So I didn't hear a lot after that.
She actually emailed me on a related topic, and she did say, we have a graduate student who will be working on the Hawking River corridor for her master's project for the next year. I did have students do research in the fall. Perhaps you would like them to present to the Sustainability Committee, or I can send their paper. So cool. We could get back to Lorraine and arrange that for next month if folks are interested.
Yeah. Are you going to email her, Amy?
I will do that. I'll reply. Yeah.
Okay.
And Amy, I think a presentation would be great. It gives the students a chance to practice some of those skills, and it's very helpful.
Yeah. I will let her know that. We should, we sort of started a conversation, I guess, after Jasmine's thesis project about, possible next steps. Like, do we want to try to do a public opinion survey to update the one, I think what was it, 2005 or something was the last public opinion survey about the river. Is that right, Jasmine?
Yeah, it was 2005, and it wasn't even really public. I think it was just whoever, it was a limited survey.
Yeah. So, the idea of keeping conversations going with Athens or not Athens, Hawking Conservancy to try to improve the management of that river corridor for a little bit more biodiversity benefit.
Yeah, I'm curious what this new students project is going to be on. I'd like to hear more about that, because I don't know if that could be part of their project.
Yeah,
doing a survey like that, because I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I think, Jasmine, your sense was that the Conservancy wasn't going to do anything without some public pressure, right?
That's usually the case, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing happens without public pressure.
I also recall that a related discussion was going on that involved the mayor about using that river, that little forest between the river and the community center for recreation and getting invasive vegetation out of there. So there had been a couple of meetings, maybe a year ago or something. I know that Jasmine was attending some of those as well.
Yeah, we were that was with Ann Bonner.
It seemed like at some point it seemed like the city was like close to considering changing their mowing regime on city land as well. Paul, do you recall any of this reaching your desk, or do you know if anything is still like discussed, or has it gone asleep?
No, I do not know any. Excuse me, I'm scratching my ankle. I don't know much about that project, Stefan. I think you actually know. I think Jasmine might know more than I do about it. I'm aware that those discussions have been going on. I know Ann Bonner was helpful in that, and the mayor is really interested in seeing it happen. To my knowledge, the area that we're talking about, so that'll be on the south side of the river. I'm not sure that we haven't mowed too much of that, except to make some pathways to wipe out some of those invasives, but I'm not sure. I don't have an update on where they are.
We're talking about the north side of the river. It's just south of the community center. It's that kind of thickety area.
It's the only forested section of the bike path in Athens.
Yeah.
Between the bike path and the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I said south of the river. I meant south of the bike path.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those meetings with Ann Bonner eventually evolved also in talks about considering other areas within city and the river for changing the mowing regime, and maybe also maybe retraining some of the grounds people, instead of doing only mowing, also like fighting invasives. Or maybe using goats to eat up invasives. So there were a lot of discussions going on that were really good at the time. So I wonder,
wasn't there a plan that was written, Stefan? I thought there was a document that was created so that it wasn't just discussion. It was like this is what we're going to do.
There was.
Yeah.
There was the soil and water conservation.
I'll look into that, Stefan.
I think I still have those documents. It was the Soil and Water Conservation District had put together some pretty good materials.
So I would suggest that we maybe pick up the thread. Maybe our commission might want to pick up that thread and reactivate those activities within our commission.
Yeah, we were supposed to meet with Ann last year, and it was like right as COVID was starting, and that meeting ended up being canceled, and then nothing happened after that. So I think the time is right to. Would you be willing to kind of reactivate that discussion? Yeah. Do you want me to just reach out to Ann and see if
that's one step? Yeah.
Let her know that the Sustainability Commission is interested in maybe supporting that effort, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe if we get a chance to review those documents that were created at the time within the commission, and maybe keep it on our monthly agenda to try to move that forward at some point.
Can someone drop the link for that Dropbox in the chat so that I can just put it all into there so that we can start because I'm the same way. I lose my emails. I get so many of them and end up not finding them later. So I need them all in one place.
I'll try to do that, Jasmine.
Sorry, I had to plug in my headset. I was listening to the news for too many hours today. I almost lost my battery. Yeah, and actually, that also reminds me that we're still sort of outstanding on the adding a biodiversity plan to the city's official sustainability plan. And I was sort of holding it open for edits, and I haven't gotten any more edits in a number of months. So maybe that's something we can add next month, is to pick that back up. And I can try in the interim to do a short version of that plan as well. That would sort of integrate better with the rest of the city's plan. So shall we move on to the Ohio EPA program? I think that Sam has an update on that.
No real update, just that I attended that webinar, which I don't know if anybody else attended, but it wasn't terribly helpful. It was our good friend Bill Nurowski, which Elaine and I know well, and yeah, so it sounded like very similar kind of award program. There wasn't anything terribly interesting or new that they presented. It was very quick. It was about a 15-20 minute webinar. Okay. So I really have, if we want to do that, we can look into that. I think Paul mentioned that the city had maybe done that a couple of years ago. We can look at what we've done since then to see if we could get a higher level. I'm happy to explore that further.
I attended, Sam, and yeah, same as you. It was like, okay, I didn't learn a whole lot more than when I was. I may need to ask you for clarification. Like, there's no award, there's no money component with this, right? It's just sort of a badge that says, "Yep, you're certified as." Okay, right. Is this something that like the Bailey's Trail system could apply for? Would that meet?
The Bailey's Trail system might be a piece that could be part of the application for this. Well, it's maybe a city. Orca? This one was a city program, not a county program. So the Bailey's has that difficult situation of not being in the city. Yeah. So I don't know, but we could look into that. Certainly, I'm sure that they are kind of flexible to some degree.
I don't know if you're familiar with ORCA, the Outdoor Recreation Council. I am, Okay, the COG. Could that be an applicant, or it has to be like an actual single government?
I'd have to go back and look at this. I was familiar with it from the university standpoint, and Elaine and I had applied a couple of times through the Office of Sustainability, and this was news to me. Although Paul indicated that it's been around for a while, offering it to cities. And whether, I don't know, Paul, do you know if, I imagine county governments could, so Bailey's probably could be part of the county. I don't know if ORCA would.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always, I'm not sure, Jasmine.
Okay. I'll look a little closer at the application. I just figured since you mentioned it, and you must know all the answers, right, Sam? So
yeah.
To your point though, Jasmine, what I was thinking was, from the city's perspective, if we were to apply, one of the things we might actually point out is municipal investments in the Bailey's Trail system as a means of land use conservation and conservation and outdoor recreation and things. So those actually might be one of the things we would talk about as the reason why we would score high, or why to get a better score, as well as the solar panel project and the pollinator gardens and all those things. Mm-hmm. ORCA, I don't know if they'd be able to apply or not, or I thought it was kind of geared towards municipalities and townships and local governments and universities as a way to exchange ideas, share excellence, and and be able to brag about how great we are.
I do know they also include businesses, though, so maybe.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, I looked at the application and then got busy and haven't looked at it again. So, I'll take a look again and see if
I would imagine that the city could do quite well. The application, but.
And the age-friendly initiatives, too. You should add that in as well. I think that definitely falls right in line.
But it would definitely take some time. we spend a fair amount of time on ours. And then if you get an award, then they come down and then, well, at least at the time, the director of the Ohio EPA really liked to have a ceremony where, like, you would want the mayor to be there, and he would want events, and he'd want press there, and then they give you a flag. And so the flag is really the reward, and then you can put the flag. And it is a nice recognition, but it is a lot of work. So somebody would have to really, really be willing to spend some time, arranging like all that, that event, as well as the application, as well as the press and all of that. So in order to take advantage of it.
Well, if we do it this year, we won't have to organize an event except for Zoom. So we can.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't love events, so I'm good with that.
Was great.
And Paul, you and Lauren are only busy doing 3 sustainability plans and, organizing all this. So what's one more thing?
Yeah, I do want to look at the application process though, because it, I can't say I want to organize an event. Those are a lot of work involved with those. But if we're eligible for the application and we have the capacity to do it, there's no reason not to, I guess. We do have a great story to tell from all the work that's been done in Athens and all the community initiatives. There's so much going on here.
And
as we all know, if you do have the old application, it's always easier to kind of update than it is to start from scratch.
Yeah. And we also there's probably a lot of overlap between that application and the one we did for the America in Bloom, which had a lot of community involvement and kind of stuff. And then I could probably find the application that Rob did when we got recognized as a bike friendly community. That would have a lot of the bike type initiatives. So we can probably plagiarize ourselves and make it easier. I'm a big proponent of plagiarizing ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think they have, was it something like 18 sections, Sam? And then I would think that you could just copy and paste from anything that was relevant into whatever was relevant section. I don't think it had specific guidelines within the sections. It just had, like a blurb about this section. You should talk about this. Okay. So I think you could copy and paste.
Fairly free form.
Yeah.
Is it a rolling application basis, or is there a deadline, or?
I think it's rolling.
I think so too, Paul, if I remember correctly, but we can talk about this if you want.
I'll look it up tomorrow morning.
They do invite you up to Columbus at a specific date to get recognized. So we do have an annual event, but I think they recognize anybody who is recognized within the past year.
All right, great, thanks. Yeah, I think it's worth looking into a little bit more, and if we can plagiarize ourselves and make it easier to do the application, we should probably do that. Anyone have items of new business for tonight? I don't think anybody shared any in advance.
Amy, it's not really new business, but I'll just say, and Jasmine can give us more information. I believe there's a new Bailey's fundraiser. You can get yourself a cool bike jersey.
Bike jersey.
You know a serious biker, Amy DeLocke, or a husband. I'm sure Rob already ordered 5 or 6.
Rob already posted to Facebook today that he had done it and ordered a jersey, and I was like, a jersey? Single?
Yeah.
So,
order one.
You can per donation. So I had to go back in and do my own donation. So yes, we have 2 jerseys coming to our house.
I think that 23 have been sold already. And
great.
Maybe we ordered 100. I'm not sure how many we actually ordered. I should probably know that. So if you're planning to get a jersey, do it. I hear it goes to a good cause.
For sure.
Wait, what's the best way of finding out more information about that, Jasmine?
I will put a link.
Facebook? Oh, okay, great.
Always Facebook. Let me just put the direct link. It's on the Athens County Foundation page.
Okay.
And Elaine, I got an email. I think I'm on the Orca listserv. And so I got an email, I think just today, but I can forward you that email too. It's got a picture.
Sure. Yeah. And Elaine, if you're friends with Rob on Facebook, he definitely posted today about donating. So, and it included the link.
I'm not great with Facebook, but I
tweeted about it. And yeah.
Rob's our little social media guru.
Hopefully that goes.
Yeah, that looks like
Okay,
that does it. Yeah, cool. That sort of brings us into updates. Wayne National Forest Plan. Segue into that. There was not a monthly update this month, and the last monthly update really just focused on a demonstration of their virtual tour, which is a neat, you can sit in your privacy of your living room and visit virtually a bunch of the, really interesting spots within the forest, and you can plan a trip for real that way. So I encourage everyone to do that. But as far as I know, they are still just in the process of developing that need to change, which they've been in that process for a while. Jasmine, do you have any other Wayne National Forest or Bailey's updates?
No, I think that's pretty much covers most of what's going on right now.
Okay. And is there anything else from the OU sustainability side to talk about, Elaine or Sam?
Well, I think Sam last time talked about how our sustainability plan is open for public comment right now.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of public comments. That'll probably stay open another few weeks. I think, and closing it February 1st.
February 1st. Okay.
We'll do a final response to comments and then take it to the Board of Trustees. And after that is when the real work starts. I mean, we've been working all along toward, some of the goals in the plan, but then we can start really starting to hammer away at some of those pieces. And so we'll probably have more to tell you about OU's plans once that Sustainability and Climate Action Plan gets finished. I suppose we also should say that spring is when the next few months is when we start working on Earth Day. That's kind of one of Sam's big responsibilities. And so we usually do that Earth Day every day, or Earth Month. We call it different things sometimes, but we post all of the community events related to Earth Day on a web page that I think Sarah Conley Blue started years ago. And then she gave us the access to it. And so if you know of things upcoming for Earth Month, Earth Day, but anything from March 23rd through April 22nd is what we pretty much advertise. So if you know of anything going on and want to put it on our website, we'd love to see it. Sam, actually, you can correct anything I just said there.
It's all good. We really focus on the month of April. So as we discussed this last year, we're happy to include things in March. We're happy to include things in May. I mean, send any information, and I'll be reaching out to everybody for details. But we're really focusing on celebrating the entire month of April, just to make it easy for people to remember dates, etc. We'll be celebrating, and then we'll really be highlighting the week of April 22nd when Earth Day actually occurs. So yes, that will happen.
And I guess I should also say too that we have a Sugar Bush grant, not our office, but the university has a Sugar Bush grant with Rural Action for the Farm to Ohio Working Group, and did I just say Rural Action? With Community Food Initiatives and part of Rural Action, but the Chester Hill Produce Auction and their sustainable agriculture part. And we're going to have a summit, institutional procurement of local foods in March. And so if anybody's interested in that, at this point, we have a list of possible speakers and attendees, and we have the date and we have the platform, but that's about it. We were supposed to send out a save the date just before Christmas, but that didn't get sent out. So hopefully it'll go out this coming week. But if anybody's interested in institutional procurement of local foods, it's a great part of the sustainable economy is in our institutions purchase local foods from our local farmers. So that's one other thing.
Yeah.
Sure,
I'll just
many other things too, but
I'll just mention one other kind of a neat thing that ties together the Baileys and some other stuff. So one of the cool things when the Earth Day week month celebrations happened in person, one of the neat programs that Sam always coordinated was the Rebike, where they took the bikes that had been abandoned over the course of the year on the university and re-gifted them, as it were, out via kind of a lottery and a small payment to the rest of the community. We've arranged with the city, the Athens Bike Club has arranged with the city of Athens and procured about a dozen bikes that had been abandoned in the city. And Athens Bike Club members who are mechanically inclined are going to work on refurbishing those bikes, and we're going to distribute them to people in Chansey. Some of those bikes are trail worthy. You could probably at least ride the couple of the trails. And I know there's a bunch of kids in Chansey who are itching to get out on those trails. And some of those other bikes will just be, useful for riding around town. So hoping to develop bike culture in Chansey a little bit more.
That's really cool. I was not aware of that.
Really?
Yeah. When you guys do that, can you let me know so I can at least on social media and get photos and stuff?
Yeah. So we have collected the bikes. We borrowed Bob West's trailer and picked them up at the police warehouse. So they're all in our garage right now. Our garage looks like a bike shop. But they mostly need, new chains and new tires and tubes and things like that. So there is a bit of work to be done. And so I think we're going to just divide them up between bike club members who can work on them.
Or people get their own photos, maybe just send them my way.
Yeah.
And,
I'll mention that to Rob.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Amy. That's great to hear.
Yeah, that really is great. And let me just say that the Rebike has been a very popular event, and Elaine and I hear a lot from people asking, you had to cancel last year. When is the next one? And unfortunately, we don't have any control over the property itself. Mm-hmm. OUPD has control over it, and then when they turn it over to Moving and Surplus, then Moving and Surplus has it, and then we partner with Moving and Surplus to have the Rebike sale. But I've been trying to work out a way to do a socially, the problem with Rebike is it's very popular. So usually there's 60 people all lined up, and the whole social distancing thing I was really worried about. But Elaine and I chatted just briefly, and it had me thinking over the break about a way to do it, of having people reserve a time spot, and then I could meet them one-on-one, and we could kind of handle some of that. But this is really interesting too, Amy. And one thing I wanted to talk to Moving and Surplus about is about the possibility of donation instead of having a sale. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't aware of this effort in Chansey, and I would love to support not only Bailey's, but the community of Chansey and maybe other communities really outside in the county. So, I need to have a conversation with Moving and Surplus about their willingness. But after 2 years of not being able to sell a lot of bikes, and they used to just ship them off to, Indianapolis or somewhere, people who bought them in bulk for very cheap. And so I'm wondering if, a dozen bikes, 2 dozen bikes, they wouldn't allow me to, to handle a donation now.
Yeah.
How institutions are, et cetera. I'd probably would get 6 approvals from legal and the president to sign on all this other stuff, but I'm willing to do that. And so I'll talk to Rob, I'll talk to you, and
okay, awesome.
As I try to figure stuff out, that's awesome you're doing that.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
And okay. Does the bike club have, does it have members and I mean, well, I guess I knew it had members, but does it have fees, or, is there a way to donate to it?
So
and they could purchase bikes or something? Yeah,
or actually, if you could donate to a repair fund at this point, that would be great. I think the bike club does have some money, for things like buying new chains and tubes and things like that, to do the repairs that are going to be necessary. But yeah, when you can join the Athens Bike Club. They do have regular monthly or bi-monthly meetings. And then when you join the Athens Bike Club, we are actually a chapter of the International Mountain Bike Association. So you become a member of that through there. And they do a lot of bike advocacy and helping with best practices on trails and things like that. But yeah, I can send you that information too.
Okay, I just found it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other business or announcements in the last 5 minutes here?
I have to get it. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
Sorry,
mine's really quick. Mine's really quick. I will just say real quick, because I don't know all the details. Jesse's mentioned it a couple times, and I have to get the details from her. Jesse Powers from Orca. There will be a tree planting at the Baileys. I don't know if it was mentioned, and I'll get the details on that for you guys, but I'm putting it out there so that I remember to do it.
Okay, cool.
And mine literally did come up within the last 5 minutes because Jasmine downloaded the riparian project into our Dropbox, and I'm looking at the map, which seems to show the property that I thought was city property as university property. That whole area we were just talking about, that wooded area behind the community center, which I thought was that the mayor was talking about pulling out the invasives and stuff because it was city property. But according to this, it's Ohio University property.
That's correct. I think the mayor is intending to manage that property on behalf of OU.
Okay.
And I don't know if an agreement exists, but that was kind of the line of reasoning that I heard.
Yeah, I believe there's an agreement in place, an MOU, where the city agrees to manage it and maintain it, but then it's open as a public facility, community park space, public park.
There was interest too from an OU professor, Dr. Rebecca Snell, who is in the plant biology department. She was on my committee, and I took a couple classes with her. Really awesome professor, but she teaches restoration ecology every other fall. And she was interested in taking a class and basically using that area as a land lab and working on some of the invasive issues with her class there. So,
yeah, she reached out to me this fall about ideas for where an invasive species removal might work, and that's what I suggested to her. And I think she decided that transportation was just a little bit of a barrier. It was a little bit too far, and they couldn't drive anybody anywhere. It had to be walking distance from.
Yeah, with COVID campus. For sure. But if by next time, we'll see.
She's hoping she's at least got that on her radar screen now as a place to maybe take future classes.
Making plans is hard,
especially about the future.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to see everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. Happy New Year. And we will at this time entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move.
Okay. Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.